There's a moment that happens in almost every failed relationship. The woman is packing her things and the man is standing there, genuinely confused, asking what went wrong. She's been unhappy for months, maybe years. She's communicated in 1,000 subtle ways that something was dying, but he never saw it. He thought everything was fine. And now, watching her leave, he's experiencing genuine shock. Friedrich Nietzsche understood something about human nature that most men never learn until it's too late. Women don't leave because of what happened yesterday. They leave because of what's been accumulating silently, invisibly, in places men never think to look. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the 20 dark truths about why women actually leave relationships, why these truths remain hidden beneath the surface explanations, and why Nietzsche believed that most men are blind to the very things that destroy their relationships until destruction is already complete. Maybe you've been left and never understood why. Or maybe you're in a relationship right now and something feels wrong but you can't identify what. These 20 truths will show you exactly what you're missing. Let me show you something that happens in relationships everywhere. A man comes home from work. He asks how her day was. She says fine. He accepts that answer and moves on. This exact exchange happens 10,000 times, and each time a small piece of connection dies. Because fine doesn't mean fine. Fine means I've stopped trying to share my actual experience with you, because you've demonstrated repeatedly that you're not really listening. Fine means I'm protecting myself from the disappointment of being unheard again. Fine means the emotional distance between us has grown so vast that bridging it feels impossible. But the man hears fine and thinks everything's okay. Nietzsche wrote about the will to power, the fundamental drive in all living things to assert their existence, to matter, to have impact. When a woman says fine and means something completely different, her will to power in that relationship is dying. She's becoming invisible to the person who should see her most clearly, and invisible people eventually leave. From which city are you watching this? Understand these patterns. I want to know where this truth is reaching men who are ready to see what they've been missing. The first dark truth is that women don't leave because you did something wrong. They leave because you stopped doing things right. Most men think relationships fail because of dramatic mistakes, infidelity, abuse, betrayal. But Nietzsche understood that most failures are quieter. They're death by 1,000 small neglects. You stopped asking deep questions. You stopped noticing changes in her mood, her appearance, her energy. You stopped creating experiences that made her feel alive. You stopped pursuing her the way you did when winning her mattered. This stopping isn't dramatic. It's gradual, almost invisible. You get comfortable. The relationship becomes routine. The effort that felt natural during courtship feels like work during partnership. So you stop making that effort. And she notices. She notices every single time you choose the path of least resistance. Every time you say fine to her fine without digging deeper. Every time you're physically present but mentally absent. These moments accumulate like drops of water, eventually eroding the foundation of what you built together. The second truth is that women leave emotionally long before they leave physically. By the time she's packing her bags, she's already been gone for months. She's already grieved the relationship. She's already processed the loss. She's already made peace with life without you. The physical leaving is just the final formality. Nietzsche said we often refuse to see what's right in front of us because seeing it would require us to change. And change is suffering. Men refuse to see their partner's emotional departure because seeing it would require immediate, uncomfortable action. It's easier to ignore the signs, to convince yourself everything's fine, to believe the relationship is solid because she's still physically present. But presence isn't connection. She can be in your bed every night while being emotionally unreachable. She can go through the motions of partnership while feeling completely alone. And when she finally announces she's leaving, you're shocked. But she's not. She's been preparing for this moment while you were ignoring every signal she sent. The third truth is that women leave because you made her responsible for your emotional state. Nietzsche talked about resentment, the psychological state of blaming others for your own unhappiness. When a man makes his partner responsible for his emotional well-being, when he needs her to make him happy, when her mood determines his mood, he's created an unbearable burden. She becomes responsible not just for her own emotional experience, but for managing his as well. This shows up in countless ways. You sulk when she's not affectionate enough. You need constant reassurance. You make her feelings about you rather than about her experience. You can't regulate your own emotions, so you need her to do it. This emotional dependence masquerades as love, but it's not love. It's weakness. And women don't leave men they love. They leave men they have to mother. When maintaining your emotional stability becomes her unpaid job. When she can't have a bad day without managing your reaction to her bad day. When your need for her positive mood becomes more important than her authentic experience, she starts calculating the cost of staying. And eventually the cost becomes too high. The fourth truth is that attraction dies when desire becomes one-sided. Nietzsche understood that desire requires tension, mystery, the sense that what you want might not always be available. When a man becomes too available, too eager, too grateful for any attention she gives, desire evaporates. She doesn't leave because you love her too much. She leaves because your love has no spine. You agree with everything. You sacrifice everything. You have no boundaries. You make her the center of your universe. And a woman doesn't want to be the center of a man's universe. She wants to be an important part of a universe that exists with or without her. When she realizes that you've made her your entire world, when she understands that you have no purpose beyond making her happy, when she sees that you'll compromise anything to keep her, the attraction dies. Not because she's cruel. Because desire requires a certain amount of uncertainty, and you've eliminated all uncertainty by making it clear you'll never leave, never challenge her, never prioritize anything above her comfort. The fifth truth is that women leave when you stop leading yourself. Leadership isn't about controlling her. It's about having clear direction in your own life. It's about knowing what you want and moving toward it with conviction. It's about making decisions without endless deliberation. It's about having standards and enforcing them. When a man stops leading himself, when he becomes passive, when he defers every decision, when he has no vision for his future, women lose respect. And without respect, love cannot survive. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the person who creates their own values and lives by self-determined standards, applies perfectly here. Women are attracted to men who are becoming something, who have direction, who are building toward a vision. When that drive disappears, when a man plateaus, when he stops growing and starts just existing, the attraction that brought her to him disappears too. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She needs you to be going somewhere. When you're going nowhere, she eventually goes somewhere without you. The sixth truth is that women leave because you stopped creating emotional experiences. Most men think providing is enough. Roof over her head, food on the table, bills paid. These things matter, but they're not enough. Nietzsche understood that humans need more than survival. We need experiences that make us feel alive. Romance dies when life becomes purely functional, when every conversation is about logistics, schedules, and problems to solve, when dates stop happening, when spontaneity dies, when everything becomes predictable, routine, safe. Safety is important, but safety without excitement is suffocation. Women don't leave because you're stable. They leave because stability without passion is just comfortable imprisonment. She needs to feel something. And if you're not creating experiences that generate feeling, she'll eventually find those experiences elsewhere. Not necessarily with another man. Maybe through friends, hobbies, or fantasies about a different life. But emotionally, she's already left your shared experience because that experience stopped being emotionally nourishing. The seventh truth is that women leave when they feel unseen. Nietzsche wrote about the eternal recurrence, the idea of living the same life infinitely. For many women in relationships, this becomes reality. Same conversations, same patterns, same man who doesn't really see her. You see the role she plays, wife, girlfriend, mother, but you don't see her. The person beneath the role, the dreams she's abandoned, the changes she's going through, the version of herself she's becoming. When a woman feels truly seen, when someone recognizes not just what she does but who she is, that recognition is intoxicating. And when her partner stops providing that recognition, when he relates to her as a function rather than a person, she starts to disappear. first to him, then to herself. And when she starts disappearing to herself, when she's lost her sense of identity in service of a relationship that doesn't see her, leaving becomes an act of self-recovery. She's not leaving you. She's leaving the invisibility you've created around her. The eighth truth is that women leave because you never dealt with your own psychology. Nietzsche believed in confronting the darkness within yourself, integrating your shadow, becoming psychologically whole. Most men never do this work. They carry unresolved trauma, unexamined beliefs, and unconscious patterns into relationships. Then they expect their partner to heal wounds she didn't create. She becomes the target of anger that has nothing to do with her. She absorbs criticism that's really self-loathing projected outward. She manages mood swings driven by psychological issues you refuse to address. This isn't sustainable. A woman can love you, but she can't fix you. When staying with you means constantly navigating your unresolved psychological damage, when your refusal to do internal work means she's doing emotional labor for two people, when you make your healing her responsibility, she'll eventually choose her own sanity over your comfort. The ninth truth is that women leave when you prioritize everything except her, not in dramatic ways, in the accumulation of small choices. You say you'll spend quality time together, but you're on your phone. You promise to listen, but you're mentally solving work problems. You claim she's your priority, but every action demonstrates she's actually fifth or sixth on your list of concerns. Nietzsche understood that actions reveal truth more than words. You can say she matters while demonstrating through 1,000 small choices that she doesn't matter enough. Work matters more. Friends matter more. Hobbies matter more. Even scrolling mindlessly matters more, apparently, than focused presence with her. She doesn't need to be your only priority. She needs to be a genuine priority. And when months pass where she consistently ranks below everything else demanding your attention, she stops competing for your attention and starts planning her exit. The 10th truth is that women leave because you stopped being curious about her. Early in relationships, you asked questions. You wanted to know her thoughts, her dreams, her fears, her perspectives. You were genuinely curious about who she was becoming. Then you stopped asking. You assumed you knew her completely. You treated her as a fixed entity rather than an evolving person. But people change. She's not the same person you met. Her interests have shifted. Her perspectives have developed. Her dreams have evolved. And you haven't noticed any of it because you stopped being curious. Nietzsche wrote that one must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. She has chaos in herself. She's creating dancing stars. And you're not even watching because you think you've already seen everything she is. This lack of curiosity is a form of abandonment. She's growing, changing, becoming. And she's doing it alone because the person who should be most interested in her evolution has stopped paying attention. The 11th truth is that women leave when you refuse to grow. Nietzsche's entire philosophy centers on becoming, on constant evolution toward higher states of being. Stagnation is death. When a man stops growing, when he's satisfied with who he is, when he has no interest in developing further, women experience this as slow suffocation. She's reading, learning, evolving. You're watching the same shows, having the same conversations, living the same day repeatedly. She suggests books, experiences, changes. You dismiss them as unnecessary. She's excited about new ideas. You're comfortable with old patterns. This divergence in growth creates unbridgeable distance. She's moving forward. You're staying still. And eventually she's so far ahead that looking back at you feels like looking at a previous version of herself. She's outgrown. She doesn't leave because you're not good enough. She leaves because you're not becoming anything and she can't stop becoming things. The 12th truth is that women leave because you made the relationship transactional. You started keeping score. I did this, so you should do that. I sacrificed here, so you owe me there. You turned partnership into a ledger of debits and credits. Nietzsche despised this kind of thinking. The transactional mind is small, petty, incapable of genuine generosity. When love becomes about evening the score, it stops being love. It becomes a business arrangement. And she didn't sign up for a business arrangement. She signed up for a partnership based on mutual desire to enhance each other's lives. When every gesture comes with an invisible price tag, when nothing is given freely, when you remind her of everything you've done as if she owes you for basic partnership, the relationship dies. Because genuine connection cannot survive in transactional soil. The 13th truth is that women leave when you stop protecting the relationship. Not protecting her necessarily. Protecting the relationship itself. You let other people disrespect her. You let work consume all your energy. You let bad habits damage what you've built. You prioritize comfort over doing what the relationship needs. Nietzsche talked about the will to power as asserting life, protecting what matters, fighting for what you value. When a man stops fighting for his relationship, when he lets it deteriorate through neglect, when he doesn't protect it from the 1,000 things that slowly destroy partnerships, women notice. They notice when you don't defend them to your family. They notice when you don't prioritize couple time. They notice when you let preventable problems fester because addressing them would be uncomfortable. And they realize that if you won't fight for the relationship when fighting is just uncomfortable, you definitely won't fight for it when fighting gets actually difficult. So they leave before investing more in someone who won't protect what they've built together. The 14th truth is that women leave because you killed their respect for you. Respect isn't automatic. It's earned through consistent demonstration of strength, integrity, and follow-through. You lose respect by doing the opposite, making promises you don't keep, setting boundaries you don't enforce, talking about changes you never implement, having standards for her that you don't maintain for yourself. Every broken promise chips away at respect. Every boundary you fail to enforce teaches her you don't mean what you say. Every standard you apply to her but not yourself reveals hypocrisy. Nietzsche understood that self-mastery is the foundation of all power. When a man can't master himself, when he can't keep promises to himself, when he has no self-discipline, women lose respect. And when respect dies, love cannot survive. She might stay out of obligation, comfort, or fear, but she's not staying out of desire. And eventually even obligation and comfort aren't enough to compensate for the absence of respect. The 15th truth is that women leave because you never truly knew them. You knew facts about them. You knew their job, their family, their preferences, but you never knew their inner world, the fears they never speak, the dreams they've abandoned, the person they're afraid they're becoming, the gap between who they are and who they pretend to be. Nietzsche believed in profound self-knowledge and knowledge of others. Most people never achieve either. They settle for surface-level understanding and call it intimacy, but intimacy requires seeing beneath the surface. It requires asking questions that go deeper than, "How was your day?" It requires noticing what's not being said. It requires caring enough to understand not just what she does, but why she does it. What she feels, but why she feels it. When years pass, and you still don't really know her. When she realizes you're content with surface-level connection. When she understands that you've never been interested in her depths. She starts looking for someone who is. Or she just leaves to find herself, since being alone feels less lonely than being unknown by the person who should know her best. The 16th truth is that women leave because you stopped making her feel desired. Notice the word, not loved, desired. Love can become comfortable, familiar, safe. Desire is different. Desire is visceral, physical, urgent. When a man stops desiring his partner, when he stops initiating, when sex becomes routine or rare, when he no longer looks at her with hunger, something essential dies. Nietzsche understood that vitality requires Dionysian energy, passion, hunger, the wild aspects of human nature. When relationships become purely Apollonian, all order and no chaos, all comfort and no hunger, they die. She doesn't need you to perform perfectly. She needs you to want her, to pursue her, to make her feel that you choose her again. When months pass without genuine desire, when she feels like a habit rather than a choice, when the passion that defined your beginning has been replaced by comfortable routine, she mourns what's been lost. And eventually, she leaves to find it elsewhere, or to at least stop living with the constant reminder of its absence. The 17th truth is that women leave because they outgrew the version of you they fell in love with. People evolve. She's not the same person she was when you met. Neither are you. But sometimes people evolve in opposite directions. She's developed new values. You still hold the old ones. She's interested in depth. You're content with surface. She wants growth. You want comfort. Nietzsche's concept of eternal return asks, would you live this life exactly as it is forever? She's asking herself that question about life with you, and the answer is no. Not because you're bad, because you're not evolving in ways that align with who she's becoming. This isn't anyone's fault. Growth sometimes means growing apart, but men often miss the divergence until it's complete. They think because they loved each other once, they'll love each other forever. But love isn't static. It requires continuous choosing. And when who you're becoming no longer aligns with who she's becoming, the continuous choosing stops. The 18th truth is that women leave because you never let them fully love you. You kept parts of yourself hidden. Your vulnerabilities, your fears, your struggles. You thought showing strength meant showing no weakness. So you presented an edited version of yourself. And she fell in love with that edited version. But she never got to love all of you because you never showed all of you. Nietzsche wrote about the importance of loving your fate, amor fati, accepting all of yourself. But you can't expect someone to love all of you when you only show them the parts you've deemed acceptable. Women don't need perfect men. They need real men. Men who are strong enough to be vulnerable. Men who trust them enough to share struggles. Men who love themselves enough, including their flaws, to let someone else love them fully. When you hide behind walls, when you refuse authentic vulnerability, when you only show strength and never admit struggle, she's left loving an image rather than a person. And eventually, she realizes that's not enough. The 19th truth is that women leave because staying became harder than leaving. For a long time, staying was easier, familiar, safe. Even if unhappy, at least it was known unhappiness. But slowly, the cost of staying accumulated, the loneliness of being unseen, the frustration of being unheard, the pain of desiring someone who doesn't desire back, the exhaustion of managing someone else's emotions, the grief of dreams abandoned for someone who never appreciated the sacrifice. These costs add up, and one day, the math changes. The fear of leaving becomes smaller than the pain of staying. The unknown of single life becomes more appealing than the known misery of partnership. The risk of being alone becomes preferable to the guarantee of being lonely together. Nietzsche said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But sometimes what doesn't kill you just makes you tired. And when she's tired enough, when staying requires more strength than leaving, she leaves. The 20th and final truth is that women leave because you never became the man you promised you'd become. Not the man you promised her you'd become. The man you promised yourself you'd become. She watched you abandon your own dreams. She saw you compromise your own values. She witnessed you settling for less than you wanted. And this broke something in how she saw you. Nietzsche's Übermensch is a person who creates and lives by their own values, who becomes who they're meant to be regardless of social pressure. When a man abandons his own becoming, when he settles, when he stops pursuing his potential, women lose attraction. Not because they're shallow, because they're attracted to life force. And watching someone give up on themselves is watching their life force drain away. She didn't leave because you failed. She left because you stopped trying. She left because you abandoned yourself, and she couldn't love someone who didn't love themselves enough to keep becoming. Write these words in the comments right now. I see what I missed, because that admission breaks the pattern of blindness that destroys relationships. That recognition is the first step toward actually seeing what matters before it's too late. Subscribe immediately, because you've just demonstrated you're strong enough to confront uncomfortable truths instead of comfortable lies. This channel exists for men who'd rather face reality than hide from it. Hit the like button, because this message needs to reach every man heading toward loss without seeing it coming. Every person who thinks everything's fine while the foundation crumbles. Your engagement isn't about me. It's about the man watching this who still has time to change what you didn't. The next video exposes another truth that will shatter everything you believe about relationships. Another pattern you've been blind to. Another piece of Nietzsche's philosophy that explains why most people fail at love without ever understanding what they're actually failing at. You'll want to be here when that truth drops, because missing it means repeating every mistake you just learned about. Stay aware, stay growing, stay honest about what you're actually seeing, because Nietzsche knew that the biggest lies are the ones we tell ourselves about our own relationships, and those lies destroy more love than any external force ever could.